One of the most anticipated smartphones Samsung has to offer each year is the Galaxy Note. And this year is the Note 7, not the 6. Why? Because uniformity is the major key for all the future Galaxy devices. There are 4 available colors for the Galaxy Note 7, but the gold version won't be coming to the US unfortunately. I'm currently rocking the black edition on T-Mobile's network. Off contract, the Note 7 is going to cost you around $850. Prices will fluctuate depending on which carrier you decide to go with. As for warranty, you could go with Samsung Protection Plus, and it will cover any breakdowns to the Note 7 for 2 years, but it will cost you a whopping $129. If you want to take a cheaper route, you should definitely try out Upsy. They also provide a 2-year accidental warranty plan, and it's only $80. They cover drops, spills, and malfunctions to protect your smartphone, and they're definitely not overcharging you for insurance like most other phone companies do. Plus, if you use the coupon code AndroidPolice, you get 5% off, so if you want to try it out for yourself, I'll leave a link down below. Now I know $850 is pretty expensive, especially when you have cheaper alternatives with top of the line specs, but as we all know, Samsung flagships are usually expensive and they never really disappoint. Let's see if the Note 7 can put its money where its mouth is. When holding this 5.7-inch display, I can easily say it looks and feels premium and solid. With an all-around glass encasing and a brushed aluminum finish on the side, it's very comfortable in the hand. It's also slightly thicker and larger than the Note 5, but the differences are not that noticeable. It's still a fingerprint magnet, scratches up easily on the back, and a bit slippery to hold. I actually ended up dropping our original review device for this reason while pulling it out of my pocket, and the screen cracked on the top edge, so that kinda sucked. So I definitely advise to get a case or a skin to avoid devastation. You can't forget about that signature stylus that separates the Galaxy Note line from other Samsung devices, and really all other smartphones. This year the S Pen is more precise with a 0.7mm tip, and the button is more clicky. It has twice as many pressure levels for a more natural writing feel. A few new software features such as the ability to create GIFs for any video in just a few taps, magnifying the screen, glancing at one app while using another, or even translating words on the go. Pretty impressive attributes, but I didn't really find myself using most of these that often. What still attracts me are the Air View features. Hover over a specific day on the Samsung calendar to get more details for a certain event, enlarge pictures from your gallery or other applications if supported, scroll up and down without even touching the screen, and preview contents of a link before tapping it. Plus, it's water resistant with an IP68 certification, so you can take notes in your synchronized swimming class, and it's not going to fit in backwards, so pen gate is not a thing anymore. Overall, I think the simple things are what makes the S Pen shine. Jumping to the display, it's curved, so it'll give you a sense of a nearly bezel-less screen, making everything you swipe spill off the border. It's not as dramatic as the Galaxy S7 Edge, but for long-term usage, I'd much rather have this smaller curve. Not to mention the back is also rounded, giving the entire device a symmetric shape, and making the 5.7-inch display a satisfying experience in the hand. It's still a Quad HD Super AMOLED panel just like the Note 5 or the S7, and as you'd expect, the screen looks amazing, viewing angles are great, and colors are somewhat saturated for a punchier look, but there are options in the settings to tweak this. Watching YouTube or playing games is also amazing. The only thing different about the screen besides the curved edge and the dimensions is the step up to Gorilla Glass 5. It is pretty durable, but that doesn't mean it's shatterproof, so make sure to get a screen protector or you may have to learn the hard way.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
The speaker grill at the bottom does get loud without getting distorted, but it's not going to outshine dual front-facing stereo speakers. Luckily, the headphone jack is still there, so you still have an alternative option for music listening. As for the buttons, you have the typical volume keys on the left side and power on the right. They don't feel mushy at all, very tactile and satisfying to press. My only complaint would be that placement is a bit too high, so I often find myself having to reposition my hand, but it's not a big deal. What is a big deal are those capacitive LEDs on the front for the recent and back key. Samsung just doesn't want to swap the order, and at this point they probably never will. Now if you've been using a Samsung device for a while now, you'll probably find the order to be just fine, but for someone who is switching from a Nexus, LG, ZTE, Motorola, or any other Android that uses the traditional navigation bar, it'll definitely take some time to get used to. In between, you have the power button, also acting as the fingerprint sensor. It's fast, accurate, and it's a rounded rectangle. Nothing new there, but there is a new way to unlock the screen. It's with your eyes. If you look closely at the top, you might think there are two front-facing cameras to shoot selfies with, but in reality, there's only one front-facing shooter on the right side. The one on the left is an IR camera to scan your iris. It basically looks at your eyes and allows you to unlock the phone. This is pretty cool because no one has the same iris, but I still think the fingerprint is the bigger competitor here. Don't get me wrong, it works just fine, but it's kind of a hassle. You literally have to turn on the display, swipe up, and give the screen some of that eyeball attention, but I can see how this can be somewhat useful, especially when your hands are busy. But for the most part, it's more of a look at what my phone can do feature. In regards to software, TouchWiz has a whole new look codenamed the Grace UX. It's cleaner, flatter, and less bubbly in my opinion. I dig it. The system settings, icons, quick settings panel, lock screen, and folders are most of the big impacts here from this UI change. You still get those nifty features such as split screen view to multitask with apps side by side, the always on display with a few extra options for customization, and the Samsung theme store if you want to spice things up a bit. But some of the new features include a blue light filter to protect your eyeballs from looking at a bright display at night, Samsung Cloud to auto backup and restore app data, contacts, images, videos, and much more. Some intense power saving modes to save you a lot of battery life, with one of the options being to lower the screen resolution to 1080p or even 720, and even a secure folder to lock and secure sensitive information. Plus you get some extra goodies that come with the curved display, most of which we've already seen on the Galaxy S7 Edge. So when you receive a phone call and the screen is flat on a table, the edges on the side light up, panels for basic shortcuts to your favorite contacts, weather, applications, and much more, and even some edge feeds to peek at your notifications or other news that may or may not interest you when the screen is off. I rarely found myself using these edge shortcuts, but if you're someone who just wants important tasks with a swipe away, then this is for you. As far as software updates go, Samsung devices have gotten better at releasing them a bit faster, and they did confirm that Android Nougat is coming to the Note 7, but don't expect it to be released after Nexus devices get the update. When navigating the UI, the Snapdragon 820 chip is pretty quick, and 4GB of RAM does handle everyday tasks such as emailing, messaging, and social media pretty well. I did, however, experience a few stutters while using this device heavily. I do believe it's noticeably slower than the Axon 7, Galaxy S7 Edge, and even the Moto Z at times. I'm actually not 100% sure why it seems bogged down. My main homies David and Ryan believe that Samsung is throttling the CPU to reduce power consumption, but you know, it could be a lot of things, including RAM management or even TouchWiz itself. Now, I'm not saying the device lags like crazy or is extremely sluggish, but it is a tiny bit slower than most other Snapdragon 820 devices. Still, don't underestimate what this device can do for gaming. Playing on this huge display along with an Adreno 530 GPU provide one of the smoothest and cleanest gameplays I have ever experienced on a smartphone. Taking a look at the camera, Samsung just copied and pasted the shooter from the S7 onto the Note 7, so you still get 12 megapixels, a wide f1.7 aperture lens, dual pixel autofocus, optical image stabilization, LED flash, and up to 4K video recording, plus a 5 megapixel front facing camera as well. Where we truly begin to see an update is within the camera software. Swiping up or down will switch between the rear or front facing camera, and swiping left or right will slide out a variety of different modes and filters. As expected, images in auto mode do look great in outdoor lighting. It's very typical Samsung with tons of contrast, saturation, and sharpening, resulting in some bright punchy colors. Plus that insanely fast autofocus lets you take a non-blurry image in a split second. So most pictures taken in bright situations come out looking strong. In low light scenarios, the f1.7 aperture lens does help, and you can get some decent looking images showing the entire area. But I did notice a bit of grain throughout the skyline of most pictures. If you decide to buy this phone for the camera module, you definitely won't be disappointed, especially since we've already seen this camera before on the S7, and most users have been complained about it being an issue throughout their long-term usage. Powering all these capabilities is a 3500 mAh battery, even though the Galaxy S7 Edge does have a bit more battery at 3600 mAh. The Note 7 still has a great battery life. You'll have no problem using this phone through an entire day. I'm a pretty heavy user, so your stats may not match mine, but I would get around 4 to 5 hours of screen on time. Yeah, I could have gotten a little more juice by using power saving mode, but I just wanted to give you guys the raw footage. The Note 7 also comes with a USB Type-C port implementing Quick Charge 2.0, letting me fully charge the device in just under 2 hours, and wireless fast charge taking a bit longer. Other things worth mentioning is that the Note 7 is IP68 certified, meaning it's water resistant. It supports all US major carriers, NFC, it comes with 64GB of internal storage, and a micro SD card slot up to 256GB, but there's no option for adaptable storage. So definitely keep these in mind when looking to purchase this phone. Bottom line, the Galaxy Note 7 does provide some useful software and good looking hardware, but at a steep price. True, it might take a while to learn and get used to all the features this phone provides if you're not already a Samsung owner, but once you take advantage of all the capabilities, you'll learn that this device can do things that no other competitor can. If you're just looking for a simple and decent smartphone at a cheap price, there are better alternatives that cut the price in half. In my opinion, the Note 7 is aimed towards a consumer who is looking for a phone that can do a lot for them and a great replacement for their tablet or Chromebook. So that's the review for the Galaxy Note 7. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ham on that like button. Check out AndroidPolice.com for your latest and greatest news on Android. Definitely let me know in the comments what you think about the Note 7, as we do read all of your comments. And with that, I will catch you guys in the next one.